All right, it's been but a minute since I've talked about either politics or the war in Ukraine, and things are getting very interesting. The stalling of aid from America to Ukraine right now to assist them in their war against Russia, the acts of Mike Johnson in Congress as Speaker of the House, and just the election in general. There's a lot of interesting things here, and I think blame or pointing fingers goes. Well, I guess that's one and the same. The blame goes around to pretty much everyone involved. I know the Republicans and specifically those in Congress and specifically the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is solely getting a lot of the blame right now for why aid is not getting to Ukraine. Military aid is not getting to Ukraine right now from the United States. It has been halted since the end of January, and Ukraine absolutely needs this. But here's where I diverge from saying this really shouldn't have been an issue. Because here's the thing, people. Joe Biden and everyone in his cabinet had to have known that this could be used as some sort of wrangling point when you have a Republican majority in Congress going into the final year of a presidential term. That this could be a wrangling point where Donald Trump and Republican influence to help try and put things on hold or try and finagle something else in, like border control, and how that all of a sudden became an issue. That somehow became an issue that needs to be addressed. And we need to attach that to the Ukraine bill in order for the Ukraine bill to pass. That's what Mike Johnson's saying. Here's the thing. There could have been such a substantial amount more of assistance given to Ukraine 2 years ago, or even just a year ago, where this wouldn't even be an issue right now. Things like Patriot missile batteries, okay? This has been such a game changer for Ukraine. There are parts of Russia where they are not even flying planes right now because they are getting picked off like ducks because they can't afford to lose them anymore to Patriot missiles shooting out of Ukraine over 100 miles away. You know how many systems Ukraine has been given? Last I checked, 3. All right, that might have changed, or it might have been secretly 5 or something like that. The bottom line is it's less than 10. HIMARS systems, okay? Another game changer. Strategic strike capabilities that have taken out ammo bunkers, gathering points, general bases, etc., etc. Over 100 miles behind the line of scrimmage, picking Russians off left and right. Getting intel, spies that are in the occupied areas saying, oh, we see the generals are gathering in this building, shoot it up, boom, they're dead. All right? There's been what, 12, 13 HIMARS systems? Okay, now here's where I say, this could have been nipped in the bud a while ago. Okay, 3 Patriot missile batteries have changed the whole complexion of the war. Because not only are they picking off planes that are flying in Russian territory or in just the occupied portions of Ukraine right now, they're also defending cities like Kyiv from drone attacks. Okay? Here's the thing. I'll ask you a pop quiz out there. How many Patriot missile batteries do you think America possesses? Okay? Now, mind you, we've given 3, possibly up to 5 to Ukraine. Okay? How many do you think the United States of America currently possesses in their arsenal, and of which I bet you they're probably up in the production of right now, but we'll leave that aside. Okay? Here's the answer. 1,200. 1,200, and we gave them 3? Now, see, this is where I criticize the Biden campaign more than what Mike Johnson is doing to hold up things. Because this whole proxy war, and yes, I'm calling this a proxy war because that's what it is, was to make this a prolonged suffering of Russians, okay? We all know Russia is not going to take Ukraine right now. There is enough armament in the Ukraine right now. What are they going to do? Regather and storm into Ukraine and try and sack Kyiv? They already tried that and they failed abysmally. And that was over 2 years ago when Ukraine had so much less at their disposal than what they have now. Like the second any sort of troops start gathering across the border, they're going to get picked off with HIMARS left and right. Like that's the thing. Before this war started, there was tens of thousands of troops gathered in the border areas of Belarus and Russia that stormed into Ukraine to try and take Kyiv and other portions of the country. They can't do that now. They can't gather thousands upon thousands of troops and tanks on the border. The second they do that, they're going to get blown to kingdom come. So there is going to be no ultimate restorming of Ukraine right now. Unless complete aid gets cut off completely and they deplete all their resources. But let's be real. Someone is going to be giving something to Ukraine. But here's the thing. Even if they just have small arms, they did just fine with that to repel the Russians. Like I said, when tens of thousands of troops and tanks and armored vehicles and whatnot stormed into the country. I know people are still hoping like, oh, they're just good. They're good. Russia's gonna. You don't understand the whole logic of Russia and their military past is they send millions upon millions of their men. Well, this ain't that day and age anymore. This is a day and age where a lot of Russians actually see what's happening right now. There was a lot of Russia in World War II that had no idea things were as grotesque, as horrific as they were in the front lines of World War II. They just knew that Nazi was coming and Nazi land was coming to take them over. And if they didn't fight back, they'd all be under the Third Reich. And that was enough of a motivator. They didn't have to hear a kill count. Right now, social media is spreading the amount of deaths and suffering that these Russian soldiers are having right now. And honestly, this is a war against a country that a lot of Russians see as an honest brotherhood. There is such a cultural link between Ukrainians and Russians. Like this would be like United States invading Canada. What do you mean we got to invade Canada? What do you mean? Oh, there's Nazis up there. We got to kill them because there's not. Oh, okay. Like there would be such a perplexity in the minds of the combat soldiers, which there's got to be there now. But you either fight or die. Like you either march that way, and if you turn around, you get shot. Like Russia has secondary lines to shoot people that aren't continuing advancing. The whole Stalin tactic of not 1 foot back, not 1 step back. I forget what order it was. Order something. There was a number to it that they made in World War II. But again, like, in a way, part of me is like, Joe Biden deserves to have this problem dropped on his lap because Mike Johnson is absolutely under the influence of Donald Trump, who is very pro-Putin right now. Putin, for those of you that want me to say his name correctly, Mike Johnson is completely under, and like, what's that? Marjorie Trader Green. Is that her name? Green? It doesn't sound right in my head. Anyways, the congresswoman from Georgia who always wears like Make America Great Again hats and Trump 2024 shirts and stupid shit like that at every State of the Union address. Anyway, Marjorie Trader Green, I think her real middle name is Taylor, but Trader sounds better. She's obviously influenced by Russia. I don't know. Maybe Mike Johnson and Marjorie Trader are the Kremlin's got some sort of thing to blackmail them with. I don't know. That's the only way I could say to feel bad for them is like, I don't know. Maybe they got something about their kids being gay or something. Like that. I don't know. It could be anything. Who knows? And again, like, how could Biden and his cabinet not see this coming? Like, yeah, of course the Republican controlling House is trying to do this. And of course Mike Johnson isn't going to give an up or down vote because, a supermajority in Senate has already approved aid for Ukraine, the military aid for Ukraine. And a supermajority of Congress would do the same, even though there is a majority of the House controlled by the Republicans right now. And I don't know how the military-industrial complex hasn't forced the issue here. Like, how the hell has their influencing power not been like, are you kidding me? For once, the Democrats are all about spend, send more arms, send more tanks, send more guns, send more missiles. And the Republicans are the ones that are against it? What the hell fantasy world is this now? Like, that's the most delirious thing about this. I'm like, the military industrial complex has got to be just like losing their mind right now. They got to be saying like, take every ounce of funding we ever had for Mike Johnson and throw it in the fire. We're never giving him a dollar towards any of his campaigns again. I mean, like think of that's insane. That's insane. The authority to grant what would be billions of dollars in American taxpayer money to build and give old, and that's the thing, like a lot of people need to understand, like a lot of like these TOW missiles and stuff and these Javelin missiles, they're near expiring munitions that we're just giving to Ukraine. This stuff would have to be paid to be decommissioned and just basically blown up in a pit, buried, whatever the hell they do with them when you decommission munitions. Instead, we're just giving them to Ukraine to use on the battlefield. So they're doing us, we don't have to pay to decommission them. Someone's willing to take them and use them. Oh, what a bargain. Mike Johnson's the one holding it up in Congress right now because, well, he's buddies with Trump and Trump's buddies with Putin. And for those of you out there, you always hear me talking against Biden saying like, well, are you going to vote for Trump? Absolutely not. Trump is endorsing the backing of an authoritarian leader. I don't care what justification you feel Russia has for some laundry list of his historical diatribe that you want to listen to him tell Tucker Carlson about. I don't care what you think, whether or not Russia deserves to have this territory back under its motherland umbrella. They attacked a sovereign democracy. Putin attacked a sovereign democracy, and Trump is not critical of it. He's just not critical of it, and he is in support of the man that is calling those shots. I can never, like, again, this hits a little bit more home for me because, again, like I've told you before, I have a grandmother that escaped Soviet Russia, Soviet Union era Russia with her parents, and I wouldn't be here unless they escaped and unless they were motivated to escape because shit was so bad there. Like, I am a product of people who got out of the Soviet Union. People that were colonized. And again, I know America had its era of colonization. I know you could point the finger at any first world country. Yes, they all had their era of colonization, but the bottom line is it's no more. I criticize the Iraq War. I criticize the Afghanistan. Hey, color me as wrong moves that my country made. Okay? So don't bring that shit up and say, oh, you freaking hypocrite. Look at this. When you look what your country did. Shut up. Anyway. Putin is invading a sovereign nation, a sovereign democracy, all right? You're going to see that sham election that Putin's going to have in a few days. He's going to win with 90+%. Yeah, imagine that. A country that's lost hundreds of thousands of soldiers in a recent war, and that leader's going to magically get like 80, 90% to vote for him. That's crazy. Wow. What an honest democracy. He might as well just make it. They might as well just report like results that it came out 105%. We didn't think it was possible. Putin somehow got 105% of Russians to vote for him. Wow, he's a super leader. Anyway, so yeah, that's why I could never. And truth be told, do I think things personally would be better for me in a financial sense, in a job security sense, in a number of other things, a Trump versus Biden being president? I'll tell you straight up, yeah, I think my finances would be a lot better under Trump. But you know what? I can't get past him supporting Putin. Never get past that. I don't care if he turns tail on it right now and just completely reverses his campaign. I could never get past that. So again, I understand people supporting Trump and not being swayed and just, not wanting to vote for the guy that's even ridiculously, I was going to say not even ridiculously older, just a few years older than Donald Trump, Marble Mouth Joe. I understand people not wanting to vote for someone who is so senior and senile. I get that. I can understand people feeling that they'll be financially more secure, that their business will be more secure if they vote for someone like Trump. I get how people can see that. And I can also understand why people just don't give a shit about Ukraine because, number one, most people probably can't point to it on a map that are against Ukraine. And number two, it's just so damn far away and it's never going to affect my doorstep, so why should I care to begin with? I understand that. Like I said, it's a bit more personal to me, okay? I have Soviet heritage in my family, and I am glad that that part of my family got out of the Soviet Union and got to America and allowed me to exist. So, anyways, yeah, this whole thing, it is a bit more personal to me, and I am so beyond rooting. And again, even though Russian is my heritage, I am rooting for Russia to so get their utter bear loving ass kicked by Ukraine. So again, now here's the thing, okay? Now, let's say that the election comes, Biden wins, and the House majority is flipped to Democrats. If we start seeing these stupid little piecemealing packages, the first thing Joe Biden should say, like, you know what? We're done dicking around. Put your money where your mouth is, Joe, and say, guess what? We're going to send another 50 HIMARS units and 100 Patriot battery systems to Ukraine. How do you like them apples, Putin? And that will be just a complete game over at that point. Because again, look at what Ukraine is doing with a fraction of the armaments at our disposal. They haven't even gotten F-16s yet. Think about that. Think about what the air superiority battle is going to look like when F-16s just get thrown into the battle. Anyway, and longer range HIMARS missiles, ATACMS missiles, what have you. More cluster munitions. Send all that shit. Again, like, whoa, we can't send too much. Please, you got 1,200 Patriot battery systems. I think we'll be fine if we only have 1,100 left over. I think we'll do just fine. All right? Kim Jong-un's 10 missiles from North Korea aren't going to all hit. We'll get at least 9 of them, hopefully. If we put like 50 Patriot battery missiles on the West Coast. Anyway, I know intercontinental ballistic missiles are a whole different thing. They're going up like Mach 18 to 20 arch speed. Okay. Point being is we got more than enough shit to spare. And one other last thing I want to say is that the one thing that is kind of alarming and more from Europe's standpoint, and like, number one, I kind of get it because you want to leave enough shit in your pocket that you have enough to give out to your troops if shit hits the fan and someone comes to your doorstep threatening your democracy. But the fact that America's supplying of arms got stifled for what is now 3 months, and Ukraine is almost completely crippled from putting sort of any sort of offensive pressure on the board. Like, the fact that Europe couldn't say just, okay, let's pick up the slack. Let's all just chip in. Like the collective nations of Europe couldn't just pick up the slack and fill the void of the cluster muck that is going on in the U.S. Congress right now. Like, that's kind of sad. Like, I understand America has a shit ton more armaments to spare and give out compared to any other European nation. But my God, it is kind of disappointing that, you know, the slack couldn't be picked up immediately and that everything just had to come to a standstill from any sort of offensive standpoint. And that, you know, you see Bakhmut get lost and not Avika. No, oh God, I'm forgetting the name of the damn city the Russians just took. Oh God, why do I have the name? The Orlovsky in my head. I'm going to remember the damn city the second I turn off the camera. God, I'm losing my complete train of thought until I name. Avdiivka. Shit, damn it. Anyways, I think I would have studied a second of this war. I'm so beyond rooting for Ukraine. I have no fear in any logical part of my mind that Russia is ever going to take the country at this point. Even if they send meat wave after meat wave attack, there's more and more Russians fleeing the country every single day. Who knows? I mean, until the next census, we're not even going to fully know how many millions of Russians actually left the country. And there's that whole brain drain thing of, like, professionals, like the doctors and lawyers, the skilled professionals that have left that country. That's going to start taking its toll sooner or later on that country as well. You can't just grow doctors on trees. I mean, they're going to try to in Russia, but best of luck with that. And it's going to get to the point where, you can finance this war as long as you can, but you can only allocate funding so long for there. So you got to wonder, what is going to run out? The financing for the war or the meat wave bodies for this war? Because I know after this election, Putin, he's probably going to mobilize another 500,000 troops, and that might be the lowball estimate. Anyway, and I see the polling results in this country that, and again, I fully understand, because Ukraine is such a faraway place. And again, even if Russia took the entirety of Ukraine, it would have a slim to none effect on most Americans' lives. And I understand that most people understand and feel that way. I disagree with that because, again, I don't think it's just going to stop with Ukraine, but I digress until that happens, or it gets stopped from happening. So, but yeah, you see the recent polling and the war in Ukraine, when people are asked, like, what do you see as a popular political issue to be addressed in the upcoming election? And Ukraine is like usually numbered like 6th or 7th or lower or higher, depending on how you look at the list. And so I get it. It's not a big hot button issue for America right now. And I know people are like, oh, you spent billions of dollars on Ukraine. It's a fraction of tax dollars. I mean, I know people here like, oh my God, they send $2 billion worth of munitions. Oh my God, they could have ended hunger in America for that. Like, number one, they still have more than $2 billion to spend on hunger. They just don't. So criticize your government for not doing it. And two, it's not exactly emptying the coffers of the tax revenue to finance this war by giving up a lot of near to expiring munitions to Ukraine. Anyway, yeah, so that's my thoughts on this upcoming election. There's absolutely no way I can vote for Trump. And the sole issue, again, like, there's a lot of issues that I think he would, either better my life or more sustain my life in more beneficial ways than under a Joe Biden presidency. But he supports Putin, and I can't support that. I can never support someone who supports an authoritarian regime. Like, how can you be the leader of the quote unquote the democracy of the world, and you're going to be buddies with the authoritarian regime that is such a laughingstock of a democracy? Anyway, that's my thoughts about that. Slava Ukraini. Heroyam Slava. That is all.